Today we are discussing an article on verbal fluency in relation to reading ability in students with and without dyslexia. This article was written by Shareef, Per Östberg, and Martina Hedenius. Prior research on dyslexia found that verbal fluency impairs performance in semantic and letter fluency. However, studies report inconsistent results. This study is different from other studies on verbal fluency and dyslexia because it involves an examination of action fluency in addition to letter and semantic fluency. It explores the degree to which the fluency tasks appear to tap overlapping and neurocognitive mechanisms in relation to each other and to phonological awareness and RAN. It also investigates the relative predictive power of each fluency task in relation to reading ability on its own when included in a group, phonological awareness, and RAN in the model. The research questions are: is letter, semantic, and action fluency impaired in students in higher education with dyslexia compared to students without? To what extent do the three fluency tasks correlate with each other and with other reading-related variables? To what extent can each of the three fluency tasks predict variances in reading ability on their own and when adding group, phonological awareness, and RAN to the model? The participants of the study were made up of 42 students in higher education. 16 of them had diagnosed dyslexia and made up the developmental dyslexia group, and the other 26 participants were the control group who did not have dyslexia. They made up the typical development group. They were all monolingual Swedish-speaking adults between the ages of 18 and 40 and did not have any neurological, psychiatric, or neuropsychiatric disorders. The word fluency tasks examined were letter, semantic, and action fluency. The participants were instructed to produce as many words as possible during a 1-minute time period. For the letter fluency tasks, participants were asked to say as many words as possible that begin with the letter F, S, or A. For the semantic fluency task, they were asked to list as many animals as possible. And for the action fluency task, the participants were asked to list as many action verbs as possible. The verbal fluency tasks were performed along with other tests. The test was distributed and performed during 2 consecutive days in a quiet room. Both days began with an initial interview and computerized LTM tasks. The first day conducted orthographic reading, phonological decoding, RAN, non-word repetition, and phonological awareness tests. The second day conducted reading fluency, verbal fluency, and performance IQ tests. To examine the differences between DD and TD verbal fluency, and to answer the first research question, a two-tailed independent t-test was performed. Effect size was measured to examine if the group effects differed between the 3 fluency tasks. The TD group outperformed the DD group in all 3 tasks. Performance in the TD group is consistent with Swedish normative data on word fluency tests for adults with matched age and level of education. The effect sizes for the fluency task indicated that letter and action fluency may be more impaired in dyslexia compared to semantic fluency. The correlation matrix shows that phonological awareness correlates significantly with semantic fluency and action fluency, while RAN correlates with letter and semantic fluency. The correlation analyses between 3 fluency tasks only show a significant correlation between letter and action fluency. Letter and action fluency correlated weakly with each other, while semantic fluency did not correlate with letter or action fluency. There was a significant correlation between action fluency and phonological awareness. Considering our findings of action fluency as a predictive variable of reading ability, this correlation possibly captures the shared variance of phonological awareness and reading ability. The regression analysis suggests that the variance in reading ability could be predicted by the results on the fluency tasks with an explained adjusted variance of 42%. Action and semantic fluency tasks contributed to predicting reading ability. It showed that action fluency was the strongest significant predictor, followed by semantic fluency, while letter fluency could not predict reading ability. The first step of the regression analysis showed that out of the 6 predictor variables, only action fluency and group were significant predictors of reading ability. The final model and the backward elimination regression showed that action fluency and group were significant predictors of reading ability with an explained total variance of 73%. The findings of this study indicate that action fluency draws on cognitive functions that partly differ from those involved in letter and semantic fluency. These findings also suggest that the neurocognitive mechanisms involved in action fluency are not captured by other tests of reading-related abilities such as RAN and phonological awareness. The results from both regression analyses propose that action fluency has enhanced predictive ability of reading ability. And the backward elimination regression further reinforces action fluency as a unique predictive variable together with a group. It would be of interest to include more participants and map their previous reading ability. This would allow us to analyze the predictive power of verbal fluency on a larger spectrum of reading ability in the students being studied. The result of this study could be of clinical significance, and the continuous evaluation of clinical assessments of dyslexia is of great importance. The usefulness of including verbal fluency in assessments of dyslexia should be further examined in research. Here are our references for the article that we studied, and thank you for listening to our presentation. We hope you enjoyed it.